Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Waves of Healing. We are dedicated to communicate to you and provide you with information of being aware and keep open mind to alternative ways of healing, whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual. I'm your host, Leah Yekutiel, coming to you live from Los Angeles, California, every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time. I'm a reconnective healing practitioner, a breast cancer victor, not victim, and the author of the book, Making the Breast of It. In order to learn more about me and my book, please visit my website at www.ilovemybreastcancer.com. All in one word, ilovemybreastcancer.com. And while you are visiting my website, please purchase my book and give a gift of love to somebody you love who went through breast cancer, where they can learn how to reclaim their femininity back, how to rebuild their self-confidence living with breast cancer, and they learn how to accept the new image and love it. And they would learn that sexuality exudes from inside out and not from outside in. And the most important thing that they would learn through the many exercises in the book, how to reconnect with the spiritual side or spiritual aspect of their life, where they realize that we women are not only our breasts in order to be viable, functional, sexual beings. There is such a great misconception among our society, especially among men, believing that women who had breast cancer are not women anymore. And this is far, far from being the truth. And also, while you are visiting my website, you have the option to download 25 breast health tips for free from my website. And if you follow some of them in your daily life, you'll be surprised how many cancers, how many breast cancers, or many other diseases we can prevent. Because my show is all about prevention and about healing. And as you know, doctors can diagnose us, many times misdiagnose us, but it's our responsibility to take care of our body and be vigilant what we put in our mouth and what we put in our head in order to keep ourselves healthy and wealthy from the pharmaceutical companies. With that said, I want to tell you who is my guest today, which I'm so excited about him. My guest is Gordon Myers, who is the author of Built to Bully, and the other book is Street Smart Kids. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Gordon Myers, but for those who are not that familiar with him, let me just tell you a little bit about him. And we are so lucky to have him live with us today, and people can even call or listen to him live by clicking on my website. And here is what I can tell you about Gordon. He was born in Nambia, then grew up in tumultuous environment of Cape Town from the age of 7. After skirting serious bouts of all kinds of trouble, at age 25, he took off with nothing more than a backpack. After 8 months of winging it through 11 different countries. He arrived in the USA alone and broke. Without a formal education or a single contact to rely on, one can only imagine what lay ahead. From day one, he started learning lessons the hard way, enduring many more as he discovered the huge delay culture shock and how some things work in the USA, a very different world than he was used to. Now, 26 years later, married for 22 years, a proud father of an accomplished daughter and son, Gordon knows what it is like to seek information non-traditional and innovative ways. His experiences have allowed him to be an expert in managing life when things are not so easy. Still living a very much appreciated lifestyle for longer than he can remember, Gordon has made it his mission to help others, especially our youth, as he is the first to admit that without help, it will be impossible to thrive in this ultra-competitive world. His one caution is that you have to be the kind of person that others want to help. While this may not be so obvious, it is critical and very worthwhile taking the time to learn. And believe me or not, Gordon has a lot of things to teach us and our children. And we are so blessed to have Gordon with us live today. Gordon, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Leah. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you very much for accepting my invitation to be a guest on my radio show. Because usually people beg to be guests on my radio show. And since I know you personally, I have to admit, and I know your life work, I had to have you on my radio show because I know you have so much to teach. And my listeners have so much to learn from you.
Thank you.
So tell me, this book that you wrote just recently, was published, entitled "The Built to Bully." Why is it so important to write about this subject, in your opinion?
Well, I think that it's an important point to make, in that everybody is sometimes looking in the wrong place and finding that the solutions they're finding aren't really taking care of the problem. So while there's a lot of awareness on bullying and trying to help victims to become stronger and stand up to the bullies, I think the fact that bullies are victims first is being overlooked. And because of that, instead of making less bullies, we're trying to treat all their victims. And so I thought if I wrote a book and I got this point across, that some people would actually agree with me and, put a different perspective into how we stop the bullying problem. I mean, bullies are being ignored, and that really just makes them even more, prone to bullying and looking for attention in all the wrong ways.
So are you saying the bullies are victims as well, or what kind of victimhood they are? Why you think they are victims?
Well, if you think about kids get born into this world and they don't get born bullies. I mean, they don't get born full of anger and frustration. And so they had to learn to be a bully somehow. And either they learn to be a bully by being bullied themselves, or by watching other people bully, or by just being exposed to the kind of behavior that is bullying. And so we teach this to kids from a very young age, and then we spend later years trying to undo what we taught them. We teach them how to be bad, and then we get upset because they're not good in that sense. So we're building bullies in our society, in our culture, not just here, but I think all over the world. Parents are raising kids who are angry.
Yeah. Well, what you're saying that giving birth to a child, it does not come with the manual, huh?
It does not, unfortunately, but there's plenty of good information out there if people would only take the time to look at it and read it and understand it.
And your book, specifically this book, Built to Bully, is the answer to any question that people may have about this issue?
Right. I mean, if you think about bullies, I mean, the world is full of them, right? You find bullies everywhere, in your home, in your school, in your workplace, in your government. And there's so many bullies, and people typically hate them for whatever reason. They don't necessarily respect them. But if these bullies realized that people would follow them if they led in a positive way, if they were motivators, if they were teachers, if they brought people along and built teams and companies and stuff. So instead of a boss, fighting with his employees, he could actually use his leadership skills to make them better and stronger.
Wow. So the responsibility is the society, the government, the parents, or all of them?
Well, everyone's a contributor, but the ultimate responsibility is whoever takes care of that kid in the very first, literally, year, months. Because whatever the kid's exposed to when they come home from the hospital, the place they call home, that environment is going to affect them in many different ways throughout their lives. It's going to create certain fears for them, perhaps, certain anxiety. It may be a great environment and they grow up to be well-adjusted kids, but you can't deny that the parents or circumstances in some cases have a big impact on how a child grows up.
This is very interesting. While reading your book, I realized, and I felt myself that I never was bullied or bullied other people. But while I read your book, I realized, my God, I looked back in my life, and I felt that I was bullied many times by my family members, by my siblings. Wow. I was shocked to realize that I was bullied myself. So my question... Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'm saying you're bringing up a very interesting point, because while everybody points a finger at bullies and, says they're bad people and all that, there's also a fine line between, a bully and someone that's assertive. There are many cases where people are basically being difficult or not cooperating. And so a leader might use some form of persuasion to get them to do what they're supposed to. And then that person can turn around and say, well, I was bullied and people forced me to do things. And some people, even little kids today, we sometimes have to so-called force them to do things for their own good. You're not going to allow a kid to run across the street. So if you hold on to them, it could be conceived as, I bullied this kid because I restricted them, or people get pretty silly. So while you think you were bullied, you're very lucky because you escaped it and it didn't hold you back in any way, which is a big problem with bullying. It does hold people back.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, some people, it does not affect us because for whatever reason, because of our different upbringing or what we brought to life from different lifetimes. and some it affects us very seriously.
Right.
And it leads to really to have those bullies affect their life for many lifetimes as well. Now,
right.
you said that the bullies can be turned into leaders.
Right.
Can you elaborate a little bit more about this? What do you mean exactly? We can turn the bullies into leaders. How is it possible to do that?
Well, let's say I go way back to when I was a kid, and you get bullied yourself, for example, or you're a witness to all kinds of bullying, and you get a chance then to make a decision. Am I going to let people bully me, or would I rather bully other people, or how much bullying can I take? What's bullying? What's teasing? Will my sense of humor allow teasing just to be considered nothing? And so at a very young age, you're making these decisions, and very good decisions. Sometimes you just handle the situation a certain way. Other times you may be the one to break up a couple of kids or a kid that's being bullied. And so from a very young age, you develop this leadership quality. Now, if you're a bully, it's easy to get people to follow you to do bad, or to follow you and sort of applaud you bullying another kid. A lot of times kids get so-called excited and even more motivated to bully when there's a crowd of people cheering them on or patting them on the back, so to speak. So this kid already has a taste of being a leader and people following him. And the kid like that is probably going to thrive on that feeling of control and being the tough guy, etc. So when you stop and look at a teenager who's a bully and you think about how they grew up and how they've been asserting this persuasion or this power all their lives, why waste that? Why not take that and if you can, turn it into something positive where the biggest bully in the group can actually be the one to stop all the other kids from bullying, because he's the leader, he's the one that everyone looks up to. So because that exists, I think we shouldn't ignore it. We should try to turn bullies around so that they can become really strong, persuasive leaders, and they might cure the problem themselves just by doing that.
This is a great concept. Who do you think is responsible, or who can turn it around the way you suggest that we can turn the bullies into positive leaders in the society?
Well, I think bullies themselves have to stand up and own the fact that they have this characteristic. And what makes a bully different from a leader is just the way they do things. Bullies push people, leaders pull people. Bullies force people, leaders encourage people. So there's this subtle difference of getting the job done, but in such a way that it's positive. And so any bully that will admit that they are a bully and that they wouldn't mind taking these, characteristics they have and learning how to use them in a good way, they can be wonderful leaders. And we need leaders right now. We don't need bullies. We need people that can lead and make things better for everybody. And they need help as well. So some of the people that they typically bully and, the ones victims, bullies don't bully them anymore. They won't be victims, and they'll be team members. And if you put a bully and a weaker kind of kid together that's maybe just more scientifically oriented or is more interested in administrative things rather than physical things, you could put some good teams together of really like-minded guys. Or women, obviously.
I totally agree with you, Gordon.
I wish, that just more and more people will realize that we can achieve so much more together than fighting one another.
That's right, exactly. And I see that's exactly what you are doing with the books that you write, with all the talking that, public speaking that you do. And I understand you're going to be on TED as well. So you do your share.
Well, I'm doing as much as I can, so I appreciate the exposure, and hopefully, somebody gets some good out of it.
I know you do that, but how you can get other people involved in what you are doing in order to get rid of this factor that there are so many bullies and all the media are just talking about it but not doing anything about it. So how you think the media can turn it, instead of talking about it, into actually doing something about it the way you do?
Well, there are many ways to handle things. And the thing with bullying is that if you think about what it is, one kid or one girl intimidating another one and sort of making their lives miserable, there's a lot of discussion in the legislation about this and what is considered to be a law against bullying. So if you harass somebody, if you discriminate against somebody, there are all kinds of laws to handle this. So pretty soon, though, there will be laws where if you bully a kid at school, for example, they bring charges against you. And if it runs deeper than that, who knows? Perhaps they'll investigate the home and find out that the parents are bullying the kid and then the kid's bullying other kids. And so essentially the parents have to step right in. And it's like any other form of discrimination. It takes literally a generation of people to think differently, to accept everybody. What's the difference if you accept people of a different nationality, ethnicity, race, gender, whatever? You don't need to discriminate against somebody because they're weaker or they're meeker or milder. So there should be, the law that covers that. So that will eventually take place. The other side of it is that if parents and teachers were all on the same page, because teachers also bully kids, that does happen. But if teachers and parents worked better together and they were on the same page, we could get the kids to respect the teachers more. So when a kid comes into a classroom and disrupts the classroom, that's a reflection on what their parents taught them, that they don't need to respect somebody that gets up every day of their lives to do nothing more than to help them to improve their lives. It's not logical to disrespect a teacher or to make their job more difficult. And so these are all the directions that people should take this. Filter this into the home, into the school. It'll immediately go into the workplace because people will be coming out of college with the mindset of forming partnerships with the typical kind of people that they might discriminate against because of whatever reason. So I think it falls into the big picture of everyone accepting everyone for their differences, embracing any similarities like like-mindedness, positive attitude, a willingness to help others, a desire to succeed. All kinds of people have those things, so why not focus on that rather than how they're different?
Yeah, very well said. But can we do it?
We can do it, one kid at a time, one person at a time. The thing is that we will prove that it works because people will see, or bullies will come forward and say, you know what, my life isn't that great. This bullying thing doesn't serve me because I can't find anybody that trusts me, can't keep good relationships. Every time I get a good thing going, I mess it up. And that's because I'm a bully, because I can't control my anger and I have no patience. And so there are ways for people to actually work on those characteristics. if you know patience is holding you back from doing certain things or from advancing, you can actually work on your patience. And those are the kinds of things that I can help people with. I can get them to understand what patience is, teach them how to use it, and once they're comfortable being patient, there are all kinds of amazing negotiation tactics and ways to use your patience so that your life turns out much better.
Wow. This is such a great advice. Gordon,
well, let's face it.
What is your URL so people can get to know you better and learn more about your book and where they can purchase it? Can you talk a little bit about that?
No, absolutely. It's very easy to find. So you could either go to built2bully.com, which will actually go to my strongforever.org website. And they're connected because you can find out all about my books and what I do on the website, which is strongforever.org, all one word, all letters. And there you'll find information about the books. The book I wrote before, Street Smart Kids, part of the advice that I was giving people in that book was bullies are just mean people, but they're crying out for help. So,
crying out for help. But
yes, they want to be noticed and acknowledged too, just like everybody else.
Yeah, just like everybody else, but not too many of us are aware about it and learn how to ask for help. For example, I never knew how to ask for help. I'm just learning recently.
Yes, there is
and you know
a good opportunity. Yeah.
So, because I always relied on myself, but I'm not the subject of talk today. You are the one, and your book is. So people can go to foreverstrong.org, which is one of your...
Strong Forever, strongforever.org.
Strongforever...
Forever.org.
.org or built2bully.com.
Right.
And they can learn everything about you, what you do. And now, tell me, you are so passionate about this subject. Were you bullied as a kid, or bullied other people?
Well, I would say yes, absolutely, both. I mean, I lived in a kind of a rough environment where kids would bully you. Discipline was kind of harsh. There was even corporal punishment at our school, which meant you were caned when you did something bad.
Yeah.
So looking back, everything was fine, and we went through some stuff, and it was tough. But I remember distinctly when other kids bullied me or pushed me around, how much I didn't like it. And so I thought that I had to get tough, and, I would push other people around and hopefully encourage people not to mess with me. So, yeah, lots of scraps when I was a kid. And like I said, you just built that way. I'm glad I didn't turn out to be somebody that was affected badly and, had my whole life changed around because I was bullied so badly. So it didn't happen like that. But I do see that happening to kids, and it really breaks my heart because there's no one to help them. And as you know, if you read the papers and look at the news, there's, parents are losing their children to this terrible epidemic. So I feel very fortunate that I'm not in that category, and I want to prevent others from ever going there.
And I'm glad that you are not in that category, and I'm glad that you are in category educating people about bullying. You mentioned the word epidemic. How epidemic it is, the bullying?
Well, when you talk to people, some will say that as many as 30% or maybe higher kids are bullied, badly, and that's 70% of all kids are affected by bullying, by either being bullied, witnessed the bullying. And so it's a part of our culture, just like it is in other countries. So I don't look back and say, life was so bad and everyone should feel sorry for me. because I know millions of kids go through this. I just feel fortunate that I can actually, stand here and say that sometimes it toughens you up, sometimes it messes you up, but whatever happened or happens now, you can still find help and you can still move forward and not let it, completely ruin your life.
Yeah, this is wonderful said, really wonderfully said. So would you say that the bullies are, they're not evil, right? They're just the environment, the circumstances cause them to toughen up and put down other kids. But they're not evil,
I don't know if I agree with that. No, I don't agree. I think they are evil in some ways. Now, I'm not saying all kids are, and, teasing isn't necessarily evil. But if you know that you have some control over a kid and that kid is petrified every time you walk in the room, you just scare them, the chances are they're not eating properly, they're skipping school, they're having problems sleeping, they have nightmares, all kinds of things could be happening to these kids. Worse is the kid complains to the parent turns out to make it worse, which is often the case. So if you know that you could be inflicting this kind of agony on somebody else, and you do it regardless, and you do it again and again and again, I personally can't think of a better word than evil, because it is. It's cruel, it's evil, it's unreasonable, and if a kid can inflict that kind of mental and physical pain on somebody, I think, it is evil, absolutely. There's no justification for that, and I say that with all sincerity. Even if I did it, which I honestly didn't do anything that I would consider evil, because I was just lucky not to get completely wrapped up in it. But any little bit of teasing or torture, as I would sometimes refer to it, is not okay. I mean, you're literally torturing another person, and nobody has the right to do that, ever. Yeah. So I think parents should actually take it very seriously. If they don't know that their kids are out there, torturing other people, being evil basically by hurting others, they should know about this, and they should put a stop to it right away. So and just because they don't know doesn't mean it's okay.
Yeah. So what is the free education? How people can educate themselves as parents, as teachers, as government officials, to educate themselves in order to educate the kids that this is not the right way to function in our society?
Great question, and very broad, by the way, because education is such a big spectrum. But let's say you know that there's some trouble or something that can be improved upon in your house. Then the first thing you have to do is make a commitment. And this is step one, and a lot of people have a lot of trouble with this. Anything that you think is worthwhile doing can be achieved if only you make the commitment to do it, not to stop until it's done, and to have the mindset that this is going to be done whatever it takes. Once your family is prepared to do that, then you look at yourself and you ask yourself, what am I realistically capable of doing? Do I have the courage to do this? Do I have the resources? Do I have the conviction? Do I have the tools that I need to do this? Do I have the patience? Very important. If I start a project and I just don't have the patience to see it through, I'm just wasting my time and most likely making the situation worse. So you need that commitment to become a person that can do what needs to be done. And that's the very basic step. Then you worry about all the wonderful books on the bookshelf that give you a recipe for success. Because there's plenty information out there, and good information.
Yeah, let's start with the basics you're saying.
Exactly. How do you, if you want to relate this to a soccer game, for example, everybody understands how soccer works. How do you want to spend time teaching kids how to score goals when they dribble the ball? Right? And that's what we're doing. We're giving kids instructions on how to score, but no one's actually teaching them how to handle the ball, how to run properly, how to control the ball. So this is what the basics are. You have to be skilled in the types of things that are needed to be successful and to make those goals and those dreams come true. Because we all have goals, and so we should. But if we're not capable of achieving our goals and we keep lying to ourselves and saying, oh, eventually I'll get lucky, or let's wait and see, those are the things that make people look back and have regrets, things they
what
just
you are
didn't get done.
saying is we make our own luck.
Absolutely. You definitely can define luck is when you're prepared for the opportunity in front of you. So there's lots of opportunities everywhere you look, opportunities left, right, and center. But until you're prepared for any of them, they're just going to pass you by.
When you say prepared for it, what do you mean by that exactly? To be
I love
aware
this
about
question.
it?
Well, awareness is definitely a key factor, but going one step further, I firmly believe that everybody needs a little help. Everybody needs a stroke of luck or an opportunity, whatever you want to call it. So you have to be the kind of person that somebody wants to give an opportunity to, because successful people hold all the opportunities. And if you're the type of person, and what I mean by that is if you're reliable, consistent, honest, you show initiative, you bring, solutions to the table, if you're that kind of person, there are going to be plenty of opportunities for you. So you're not lucky when you get a good job or when you get a high position. It's you prepared yourself to be able to be put in that situation.
Wow, this is wonderful. Wonderful what you are saying. Now, Gordon, I know you are so active in this area and you do whatever it's possible that you can do as one individual. What is next for you? What are you planning to continue this big mission of yours? What is next?
Well, next is that we develop the programs to help anybody that feels like they have leadership qualities or skills, but they would like some help to develop them. So we're going to be available for those people, and I'm a big advocate of doing this. Actually, today is the best day for you to start, because every day that passes by, things get more and more difficult. And what I mean by that is new commitments come along, new distractions, lower energy, unforeseen circumstances. And so the older we get, those habits that we really need to break are more and more ingrained in us. So on top of all of this distraction and other things in the way is the fact that these habits are sort of growing deep, deep, deep into our characters. And the goal here is to take the bad habits and turn them into good habits. So this is a job in progress. Coaches, life coaches are very capable of helping people to do this type of thing. So there's lots of opportunity for me to work with other coaches. Some may be specialized in certain age groups, genders, types of problems. So I'd like to spread this out through the coaching community and see who can best help anybody that needs the help. And then we'd like for my next book to be talking about corporate cultures and companies. My understanding is that you can ask about 80% of the people if they're happy in their jobs and fulfilled, and they say no. So that huge percentage makes me believe that the leaders of those companies are unaware or disinterested in whether or not their team or their staff is happy and motivated. environment to work in, but companies are losing millions of dollars through lack of productivity because their employees are just, they don't feel appreciated, so they don't care that much. So there's a good opportunity there to expand into that area.
So you're actually looking for coaches to coach, to give seminars and go into the society, to schools or to camps or whatever, and detect those bullies and bring them into some education awareness that they could use these bully qualities into positive way and become to be leaders, positive leaders. Am I correct?
No, absolutely. And everything is sort of intertwined. So if you teach a kid at a young age not to be a bully and you help them when they're young to nurture their leadership qualities, then can you imagine going for a job interview and on your resume you have that you've done some character training or life skills training that shows people that you've taken extra special attention to go and learn about listening to people, giving people encouragement, leading meetings, learning how to be tolerant, learning to accept, learning to be patient. So I think you can teach these core strengths and people skills to anybody, and coaches can come forward in all shapes and sizes and incorporate these character building opportunities in their own work. Therapists, for example, have all kinds of advice and training and try to teach somebody to do something that's really good for them. But unless that person has the character or the ability to do or follow that advice, it'll seldom be achieved. So I think we have to strip everybody down to the core of who they are, what they believe in, what their mindsets are, and then help them to build their character so they become so strong that no matter what happens to them in life, they will have the tools to handle it. And that's really the focus of where all of this goes, where people, if they get knocked down, they get right back up again and get back into it.
Gordon, wonderful. We have one more minute left. Would you like your website again so people can learn more about you? So we'll keep the thought, the good intention, your mission to go forward.
Absolutely. My mission is to empower anybody that wants to go out there and help us to create better leaders for the future. I can empower them, work with them. They can find out everything they need to at either builttobully.com or streetsmartkids.com. I repeat, builttobully.com, streetsmartkids.com, or the strongforever.org website. So whichever one you can remember, and feel free to contact me. I'm happy to share resources and to help everybody to help one another.
Thank you so much, Gordon. I know you're doing such a tremendous job, and I had to have you as a guest on my radio show because I feel the same way about different subjects the way you feel about bullying. So I thank you so much, and I encourage all the listeners, just go visit Gordon's website and learn more about it because this is the future of the world. Stop bullying and turn those bullies into spiritual or positive leaders.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Gordon, and thanks you, the listeners, and we'll talk with you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.